My name is George. Mary is nominally my sister, but in reality, she is more like my child bride. She is an orphan, and ever since her mother passed away, her father, fearing that she would leave our family when she grew up, did something foolish. He drugged her and locked her in my room. This reckless act completely changed the trajectory of our fates, preventing Mary from being with the one she loves. Later, Mary gradually took control of the household, imprisoning her father in a dark basement and treating him like a prisoner. I, too, was subjected to inhumane torment, threatened by her with my father's life. The cold basement floor sent chills down my spine every time I touched it. Once, she suddenly yanked my hair, forcing me to lift my head, her gaze seeming to want to devour me. "Are you satisfied now, George? We will never be apart in this lifetime," she said viciously. I looked at the untouched plate of food on the ground, filled with helplessness. Mary saw that I wasn't eating. Her expression darkened, and she threatened, "If you don't eat, it'll make your father suffer for another day. Let's see if he can handle hunger or if he can handle the beating." I couldn't bear it any longer and replied, "That's enough, Mary." Upon hearing me call her by name, she became furious. "How dare you still call me sister? You've had ill intentions towards me since we were little, and you still call me sister." As she spoke, she pressed my head down to the ground, her voice growing sharper. I endured the pain and glanced at her out of the corner of my eye, forcing a bitter smile as I said, "It's been 5 years. Do you know what kind of life my father and I have been living for these 5 years? 5 years ago, after that night when my father drugged her, the originally cheerful and lively Mary seemed to have become a different person, gloomy all day long. But strangely, she later agreed to marry me and even helped me manage the family business as my secretary. At that time, I naively thought it was love that developed over time until that Valentine's Day night when several mysterious men in black suddenly broke in, instantly subduing my father and me. Our nightmare began. Mary took over the family group as the sole heir, enjoying a glamorous life outside, but returning to the basement at night to continue tormenting my father and me. In these 5 years, I have thought countless times about ending my life, but whenever I think of my father's safety, I can only struggle to survive. Recently, I have also been experiencing health issues, often vomiting blood for no apparent reason. Although the amount is not much, the pain in my upper abdomen is becoming increasingly severe. Considering that there's a family history of pancreatic cancer, I felt a lump in my stomach and suspect that I might have pancreatic cancer, and it is very likely already in the late stages. Today, I am not intentionally skipping meals. I just feel so bloated and uncomfortable that I have no appetite at all. Mary saw that I wasn't eating, and mercilessly slapped me, then grabbed a handful of chicken wings and stuffed them into my mouth. "George, your family owes me, and you'll never be able to repay. Don't think you can get rid of me. I will be with you for the rest of your life." I was forced to eat a little, and my stomach immediately churned, but my face remained expressionless while inside I felt as if a volcano was about to erupt. Then Mary tore off my shirt again and coldly said, "It's my turn to fulfill my duties as a wife now." I wanted to resist, but my body was too weak to move. I couldn't understand why. If she hated me so much, she didn't go find her white moonlight. Yet for the past 5 years, she maintained this twisted marital relationship with me, even going so far as to drug me. In the midst of this pain and helplessness, a sudden sharp pain shot through my stomach, a feeling that was both painful and pleasurable, nearly driving me to the brink of collapse. Finally, I couldn't hold back any longer and began to vomit, only to find that what came out was bright red blood. The vivid color instantly stained the white floor a blinding red. Mary was stunned, then panicked as she hugged my head, helping me wipe the corners of my mouth, continuously asking, "George, how could this happen?" I looked at the gradually blurring scene before me and remembered what the doctor had said when I accompanied my grandfather to see about his pancreatic cancer. Once there is a major gastrointestinal hemorrhage, it is very difficult to save someone. At that moment, the weight in my heart seemed to lift, and I softly said, "Mary, my life is over. You should turn back." After saying that, my consciousness gradually faded away. I don't know how long it has been, but I suddenly felt a splitting headache as if something was pressing down on my body. I struggled to open my eyes, and the scene before me was both familiar and strange. Hadn't I already died? Where's this? I looked around and found that it seemed to be my old bedroom, but hadn't that house been demolished? Could it be that Mary, feeling nostalgic, rebuilt an identical room? I tried to move my limbs and was surprised to find that the heavy iron chains were gone. Am I free? At that moment, a familiar voice reached my ears. George, I'm so hot. What's going on? It was Mary's voice, but it sounded a bit off. I suddenly sat up and saw Mary leaning against the headboard, her eyes dazed and unfocused. She looked much younger, and it started to touch me. I glanced around, saw the desk calendar, and felt my stomach. There was no pain, and my arms were full of strength. It was then that I realized I had been reborn to the moment my father drugged Mary. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down while a wave of heat spread throughout my body. I remembered I had also been drugged. George, help me. Mary leaned closer to me again. 5 years of torment had given me an extraordinary willpower. I pushed her away with force, grabbed a glass jar filled with many paper cranes from the table, and smashed. I hit it against her head. One hit wasn't enough, so I hit her again, and soon Mary lost consciousness. The glass jar shattered, and the paper crane scattered everywhere. I didn't even know who had the patience to fold all of them. I couldn't think of much and hurried to the bathroom, immersing my face in the water, turning on the shower to let cold water pour down, trying to calm myself down. When I returned to the bedroom, a buzzing sound came, and I found a vibrating phone on the floor. As I bent down to pick it up, I suddenly felt dizzy. After shaking my head, I saw a word displayed on the phone screen, Tom. I guess this must be Mary's white moonlight. Yo, Tom is here. He must be looking for Mary. A familiar voice from my father came from outside the door. Someone had arrived, and it was someone Mary liked. I leaned on the edge of the bed, trying hard to stand up, and looked at the messy scene in the room, thinking I absolutely couldn't let Tom see this. I quickly pinched my thigh to wake myself up a bit, then hid under the blanket, leaving only my head exposed. I remembered Tom and Mary from before. They were the top students among top students, excelling in their grades and alternating in the first position of their class, regarded as the pride of everyone. On the surface, they seemed like enemies, bickering and fighting every time they met from middle school through high school and all the way to their college graduation. But I knew that, deep down, they had long been in love with each other, just waiting for the right moment to confess. Although everyone knew that Mary was my child bride, she once revealed that she and Tom planned to ask her father for permission to be together after graduation. She would repay my family's kindness in other ways rather than marrying me. On the day they were preparing to confess to their father, he took the initiative the night before. On this day, before his rebirth, the father brought Tom in through the door, and upon seeing the scene on the bed, Tom completely broke down and ran away. Later, he even married my neighbor Anna. At that moment, the door was pushed open, and a muffled sound came from beside me. Mary, who had just been unconscious, slowly opened her eyes. She frowned, touched the back of her head, and then looked at me, her gaze gradually focusing. Once she was awake, Mary immediately leaned over nervously, touching my face in the corner of my mouth, and said angrily and tremblingly, "You are not allowed to spit blood again. Why didn't you tell me you were sick? I would have found you the best doctor. Without my permission, you cannot die. Do you hear me? If you dare to die, I will keep tormenting Father until he wishes he were dead." I was shocked by her words, staring at her with wide eyes, and asked, "Mary, you have been reborn too, haven't you?" Before she could answer, the door was completely pushed open. "Mary, are you okay?" As soon as Tom walked in, he saw Mary sitting on the floor and hurried over to help her. Mary was momentarily stunned. Staring blankly at the man in front of her, she asked in confusion. Tom nodded, his eyes filled with affection. "I called you last night, but you didn't answer. You didn't answer this morning either, so I was worried about you and came to check." Mary looked around, just like when I first discovered my rebirth. Her father walked around from behind Tom, and seeing that Mary and I were relatively well-dressed, raised his voice and asked, "George, why didn't you and Mary?" I quickly interrupted him. "Mary just brought me some cold medicine, but I spilled it because I didn't catch it properly. Can you help me brew another cup?" I glanced at the paper cranes on the bedside and the floor, and I didn't remember Mary folding these for me. I looked up at the slightly immature Tom and said, "Tom, are you here to find Mary?" Tom shyly nodded and then looked at Mary. I nodded along and smiled, saying, "Then you two go out and have fun. I'm feeling a bit unwell, so I want to join you." They both left the room one after the other, and soon Mary came back. She swept out all the glass shards and paper cranes from the room, leaving not a single one behind. She glanced back at my father and me with a meaningful look, but said nothing, then closed the door and went out with Tom. My father sat at the head of my bed, letting out a deep sigh. "George, you've always liked Mary, haven't you? What happened last night?" The painful experiences of those 5 years flashed through my mind, and my heart trembled. If it happened again, I really didn't know how to face it. I looked at my father's worried eyes and said, "Father, you know Mary doesn't like me." A forced fruit is never sweet. Father stood up, frowning as he looked out the window. "But Mary holds shares in the group and has excellent business management skills. Once she marries Tom, our family shares could be taken away, and we might create a powerful competitor." I certainly understood these stakes, but I no longer wanted to repeat the past. I looked at my father's slightly hunchback and said with a sense of relief, "Father, life has its ups and downs. A family cannot be glorious forever. If fate has destined our family to decline, we cannot force it." My father turned around in surprise and looked at me. "You little rascal," suddenly becoming so profound. "It's a bit hard for me to adjust, but you're right. There are plenty of fish in the sea. I will definitely find you a daughter-in-law better than her." Watching my father leave, filled with hope, I thought to myself that I wasn't planning on finding a wife just yet. The wall clock struck 11 times. It was already 11 p.m., and Mary still hadn't come home. I saw Tom's update on social media from around 7 p.m., a photo of him hugging Mary with the caption, "Holding your hand and growing old together." I immediately liked it and commented, wishing my sister and brother-in-law a quick union. May they soar together. At that moment, the phone suddenly rang. After I answered, I heard a soft yet powerful voice say, "At your front door." "Come out." I responded and got ready to change my shoes to go outside. My father, looking curious, asked, "George, is it Anna from next door?" I nodded and pushed the door open to go out. It's strange to say, but in my past life, I didn't have much interaction with Anna. We often went to and from school together with Mary and Tom before high school. She came from a family of lawyers and wore an ancient-looking family ring. After Tom discovered my relationship with Mary, he became disheartened, and later their two families ended up in a marriage alliance, with Anna marrying Tom. Because of this, Mary harbored deep resentment towards Anna, and the two of them ruthlessly attacked each other in the business world. As I opened the door, a figure rushed into my arms. When I looked closely, it was Mary. She looked me up and down and asked, "What time is it? Where are you going?" I felt a bit guilty, but then I remembered that I no longer had anything to do with her, so I said, "Just going out for a stroll." After saying that, I ignored her and walked straight out. Mary walked in, placed a late-night snack she was holding on the table, and said, "Hey, Dad, I made a late-night snack for you and George." Her father awkwardly took the snack and said, "Mary, I was confused last night. I mainly wanted you and George to be together." "Don't say any more, Dad. I understand. No matter who I'm with, I will never forget the kindness you and George have shown me. We will always be a family," Mary said. Her father nodded and began to eat his late-night snack. Mary packed up the remaining portion and casually asked, "It's so late. What is George going out for? This area is quite suburban. Isn't it unsafe?" While eating, her father replied, "Don't worry, it's nothing. It's Anna from next door looking for him. I think they make a good match, don't you think?" Suddenly, the disposable chopsticks in Mary's hand snapped in two. Under the milky white street light, a slender figure dressed in a collegiate-style coat was pacing back and forth in boredom. Hearing my footsteps, she turned around, the hem of her coat fluttering, revealing a face as beautiful as a fairy. "Come on, let's go have a couple of drinks," Anna said. Usually quiet and reserved, she broke her cool demeanor as soon as she spoke. I took a deep breath, and the memories of Anna gradually became clear in my mind, overlapping with the face in front of me. I smiled and said, "No need for that. It's not that exaggerated." Despite having gone through so much pain, there were still some unrealistic thoughts stirring deep within me, and I clearly didn't believe me. Raising an eyebrow, I realized I was not feeling bad. Indeed, everyone knew I had liked Mary for many years. Who could believe that I suddenly wanted to let go? I looked into Anna's bright eyes, and it felt like something was quietly sprouting in my heart. After a pause, I said, "Anna, whether you believe it or not, I have really let go of Mary, and I hope she can be with Tom in the end." Anna slightly pursed her lips, her hands nervously twisting together, and a mature aura was revealed in her gaze as she asked, "Did you open the 1,000-paper cranes I gave you?" My brain suddenly short-circuited, and I coughed lightly twice, a bit awkwardly, saying, "It is open, but not in the true sense of the word." Anna was very dissatisfied with my answer. She walked directly in front of me, standing on the tips of her brown boots, our faces very close together. From the side, one might think we were about to kiss. She softly said, "What do you mean by that? Did you give it to someone else to open?" "No, I didn't give it to anyone. It's just that, just as I was about to explain, I suddenly felt a force coming from behind me, and I was pulled back a few steps. "George, you actually let her kiss you. What is your relationship?" I steadied myself and heard Mary's voice. I was a bit confused. "Anna, and I didn't kiss at all." Anna stood firm, pushed her coat back with both hands, crossed her arms, showcasing her perfect figure, and mockingly said, "What's wrong? Mary, can't you stand to see me as your sister-in-law?" Seeing Mary staring at her in silence, Anna became more spirited. "Mary, you just made a lifelong commitment with someone else. You won't still be controlling your brother and preventing him from dating, will you? You two don't even have a blood relationship. Aren't you afraid your Tom will get jealous?" The more Mary listened, the tighter her brows furrowed. I knew she was about to explode, so I quickly grabbed her arm and started to walk back. "Sister, it's late. Let's go home. Then I'm out to Anna. See you tomorrow." Anna is truly like a newborn calf that fears no tiger, but I am someone who has experienced pain and knows how formidable Mary is. Now that she has been reborn with memories, she will definitely be hard to deal with. If this continues, Anna might end up getting caught in the crossfire as well. A cold snort and the sound of footsteps on the floor came from behind me, and I turned to see Anna gradually walking away. "Shouldn't we chase after the words we can't bear to part with?" Mary said softly. I glanced at her and replied, "She hasn't taken your beloved in this lifetime. There's no need for you to hate her so much, right?" It was then that I remembered I hadn't had a proper conversation with Mary since my rebirth. She still didn't have enough power and influence, and no major mistakes had been made yet. I wanted to have a good talk with her. I said, "It was my fault in the last life, and I accept your punishment. Since we have both been reborn, now let's go our separate ways. You pursue your own love, and I won't stop you anymore. What do you think?" I thought she would be happy, but Mary had a complicated look in her eyes, her lips tightly pressed together and her fingers clenched, as if she was trying hard to endure something. I looked in her eyes and said seriously, "You don't have to have any more regrets. I wish you and Tom happiness. Let's leave the past behind." Mary's furrowed brow gradually relaxed, and her fingers slowly loosened. In the following days, Tom came to my house every day. I always avoided him, giving them a chance to be alone together. Today, I got up early, preparing to go to the hospital for a checkup. In the last period of my previous life, I always felt unwell and suspected it was pancreatic cancer. This time, having been reborn, I wanted to confirm my health status. It was not easy to have a second chance at life, and I couldn't afford to collapse again so soon. As soon as I pushed open the bedroom door, I saw Tom walking in with a big smile on his face. "George, Mary and I are going shopping today. Do you want to join us?" I thought to myself, I don't want to be a third wheel, so I shook my head. "No, I have an appointment with a specialist at the hospital today." Tom visibly relaxed upon hearing this. "Oh, I see. George, we'll go to the hospital with you. What do you feel unwell? Just as we stepped out of the door, Mary, dressed in a white dress, seemed to have heard our conversation. It's nothing, I'm just going for a checkup. Before I could finish my sentence, Tom's expression changed. Mary, the pedestrian street we want to go to is in a different direction from the hospital. If we go late, we won't get a good spot for New Year's Eve. Oh wait, New Year's isn't important. George's health is the most important. Let's just go to the hospital with him. I knew Tom wasn't really willing, and just as I was about to refuse him again, my father walked out of the living room and said, "You two can just go out on a date." George has a date too. Mary heard this and frowned, looking at me and asking, "George, are you going on a date?" I nodded a bit sheepishly. After all, Mary was also my wife in my past life. Tom, however, was very happy to hear this. "George, you have someone you like." I avoided Mary's gaze and awkwardly nodded again. In reality, there was no date. It was just an excuse to fool my father. In the morning, before heading out, I no longer paid attention to them and walked past them out the door. A bright red sports car was parked at the entrance, very eye-catching. Anna wasn't wearing professional attire. Instead, she wore a black fitted sweater, a plaid short skirt, and brown ankle boots with a light jacket draped over her arm. Leaning against the car, I have to say she really knew how to showcase her charm. Even with 2 lifetimes behind me, seeing her like this stirred something within me. I walked over to Anna, and she gestured for me to sit in the passenger seat. After I opened the door and got in, I asked, "What brings you here? Do you need something from me?" Anna tossed her coat to me and elegantly adjusted the hem. As she took the driver's seat, every movement of hers was like a painting. "My mom asked me to get up early and go out for a walk with you." Anna said in a flat tone that it turns out my father was going along with what I said in the morning. I looked at Anna, who was gripping the steering wheel, and asked, "Is your mom trying to set us up?" Anna nodded, starting the car and driving off. "After your grandfather passed away, your dad's health hasn't been good. The group seems prosperous on the surface, but there are undercurrents. Your uncles and aunts are all itching to get a piece of the pie. Your grandfather originally arranged for Mary to marry you and even gave her shares, intending for her to be your capable assistant. But now that Mary is with Tom, she has become an outsider. So your dad is interested in me and my family's background in law." Anna's analysis was very reasonable, and I could see that she was also quite helpless. I quickly stated, "Don't worry, I have a way to make my dad change his mind. I think this arrangement is fine." Anna's words left me stunned, and it took me a few seconds to react. I asked, "What did you just say?" Until the physical examination was over, Anna didn't bring it up again. I pondered carefully and deduced that Anna seemed to possibly have a bit of a liking for me. As I returned in the evening, the car stopped at the gate of the yard. I opened the passenger door, ready to get out. "George," Anna suddenly called out to me, then got out of the car and walked up to me. I'm serious. Although I had already guessed her intentions, I was still a bit taken aback. Anna stood in front of me, grabbed my collar to make me bend down, and pretended to be fierce as she said, "Reply to me within 24 hours. If you're even a second late, I'll sue you for harassing a respectable woman." I smiled as I tousled her hair, turning her beautiful locks into a bird's nest. "You little brat, do you dare to threaten me?" Anna playfully stepped on my foot. "You better know your place. Angering a lawyer can be quite the trouble for you." I raised my hands, pretending to willingly surrender. "Come on, Anna, take me in." Suddenly, Anna grabbed my wrist with both hands and pulled me outward, then threw herself into my arms, holding me tightly as if listening to my heartbeat. This unexpected situation left me at a loss, wondering when I had become so sought after. At that moment, a dull sound came from nearby. I turned my head and saw Tom and Mary standing not far from the intersection. The bag in Mary's hand slipped, and several small gift boxes fell out, one of which was a particularly eye-catching box of directs. Tom pulled Mary closer, a smile on his face. George is quite the hidden talent, progressing so quickly with the beautiful Anna. Truly a match made in heaven. Mary seemed reluctant to pull her hand back from Tom's grasp. She looked at Anna, who was holding my arm, and coldly said, "What kind of decorum is this? Hugging and cuddling in public?" Let go. Tom's smile froze. His face, but Anna held on tighter, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. I just can't get enough. As Mary was about to lose her temper, I quickly pushed Anna aside gently. Mary approached with a dark expression, squeezed Anna out of the way, and asked, "What did the hospital check results say?" I recalled the results from the morning and said cheerfully, "It's nothing serious. The doctor just advised me to maintain a regular routine and diet and have regular checkups." Mary nodded slightly, walked over, and put his arm around Mary's shoulders. "Mary, let's go." Mary looked around, and her gaze landed on Anna. "It's late. George should go home." Anna tilted her head slightly, a teasing smile on her lips. "Mary, you're being too nosy. You're about to go home with Tom, yet you're worried about us." I know that Anna and Mary were like fire and water in their past life. Usually, Anna is a cool and beautiful woman, but when she encounters Mary, she instantly turns into a little tyrant. I gently tug at Anna. "I'm going home now. You should go back too. Goodbye." After saying that, I quickly walked home, ignoring what was happening behind me. After entering the bedroom, I saw from a window that Anna had already left, but I noticed Tom and Mary not far away, seemingly arguing about something. I didn't care if Tom was jealous. I took out my phone and sent a message to Anna. "Please help me finish the task I entrusted to you this morning as soon as possible. Thank you." Although I've been reborn, Mary has also been reborn. She's like a ticking time bomb. Even now, being with Tom, she still seems to have different thoughts about me. Whether it's love or hate, this feeling is distorted. I must completely separate from her as soon as possible, hoping that Tom can win Mary over with that box of condoms. The next day at the company, I began to organize the company's affairs. Having lived a heavy life, I had already taken over the group's matters before being imprisoned in my previous life. It was just that I became lax later, which allowed Mary to take advantage of the situation. So now, handling the company's affairs feels quite manageable. "George, it seems like you've become a seasoned pro in the business world overnight. At this rate, it won't be long before you can revitalize the group," Anna teased as she handed me a stack of documents. "The matters you instructed have been taken care of." I glanced through the documents and looked up at her with a smile, saying, "Your efficiency is impressive. Thank you." After that, Anna drove me home. Before getting out of the car, she asked, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I shifted my gaze from her Balenciaga bag and said, "Of course, it's the best solution." Anna stared at me for 2 seconds and said, "Actually, there's no need to rush. After all, Tom and Mary just got together." I dismissed her concern. It's not just because of Tom. Even if it were someone else, I would still need to keep my distance from Mary. It's better for everyone. Thinking about how Tom and Mary had argued. Ed at the door yesterday, possibly because of me. I added, "Tom must be anxious too." Anna frowned and said, "You should have less contact with him in the future." I looked at her in confusion. Didn't she marry Tom in past life? Seemingly sensing my confusion, Anna snorted coldly. "Everyone knows that Mary is your future wife. What difference is there between him interfering and an outsider?" I whispered back, as if you didn't have any thoughts about me, and lightly patted my shoulder. "That's different. I have a crush. He is being straightforward. I saw you weren't with Mary, so I made my move. I even confessed in a subtle way by sending 1,000 paper cranes," Anna said softly. I didn't catch it clearly, and when I asked her again, she wouldn't say anything. Her cheeks slightly flushed. Anna looked at the time and said, "There are 6 hours left until 24 hours. I shook my head with a smile and said, "Hurry back. You're dressed so lightly. Be careful not to catch a cold." After saying that, I opened the car door and walked home. At that moment, I felt a gaze watching me. I looked up and saw Mary standing on a balcony above, staring at me with a deep gaze. I went up the stairs to the balcony and placed a folder on the table. "Take a look. If there are no issues, just sign it." Mary seemed not to hear me and asked, "Are you with Anna?" "Not yet. That's not the point. Just look at the document first," I said a bit impatiently. Mary pulled out several contracts from the folder, and the more she looked, the tighter her frown became. I gave her the best deal possible. The shares her grandfather left her still belonged to her, but she only had the right to dividends while the decision-making power was in my hands. Moreover, if she wanted to sell her shares, she could only sell them to me. The last condition was that she had to move out of the family home and we would not see each other again. Mary's face was frosty. We can't meet, George. I can't let you off so easily. I really wanted to laugh. I raised you until you graduated from college, and now you're leaving with someone else, and you call that letting me off easy? Do you still want to imprison me and my father like in the last life? There's no feeling between us anymore. It's better for both of us to part ways. You and Tom should live well together. Bang! Mary slammed the document on the table and said angrily, I've never had a good life, George. If you want me to sign, add one more condition. You can't be with Anna. I sighed helplessly. What does this have to do with Anna, Mary? We can't go back. It's better to forget each other than to cling to the past. Suddenly, I felt something in the pocket of my jacket. When I took it out, it was a mini origami crane. Just as I was about to examine it, Mary suddenly snatched it from my hand and tore it to pieces. I didn't stop her because I had already guessed what Anna had written in the origami crane, and I understood why Mary insisted on cleaning up the broken glass and the cranes on the day of the rebirth. How she had known this secret from the very beginning. In other words, Mary's hatred for Anna is not only because Anna married Tom in the last life, but also because Anna likes me. I remember that in the last life, every time Mary saw Anna, she would torment me. The root of it all lies here. Mary gritted her teeth and said, In my past life, Anna came to find me. She guessed that I had imprisoned you and was willing to exchange her family fortune for you. She even said she had liked you for a long time and asked me why, since I wasn't happy with you, I didn't just get a divorce. Rationally, I knew I should get a divorce, but at that moment, all I could think about was being bound to you for life and death. After saying this, Mary was in tears. I thought it was hatred that kept me from letting go, but it wasn't until you coughed up blood that I realized that as long as you were alive, nothing else mattered. When I was reborn, I thought I could start over, but when I was with Tom, all I could think about was you. I love you, George. I pushed Mary away and slapped her hard. It was the first time in 2 lifetimes that I hit her. Mary, in our last life, when you were with me, you were always thinking about Tom. In this life, being with Tom again, you say you love me. I am just your brother without any blood relation. That night, Mary and Tom had another fight, and I wasn't clear on the details. The next day, when Tom came to the office to see me, he looked very upset. I had my secretary make him a cup of coffee and smiled, asking, Brother-in-law, what brings you here? Tom pretended to be nonchalant as he looked at me. George, I heard you and your uncle are moving away. I nodded. Yes, I really didn't want to get involved in their entanglements any further. If I couldn't provoke them, I could at least avoid them. If Mary wasn't leaving, then I would. Tom leaned forward. Will she come back? I looked at his anxious expression and shook my head. No, Mary and I will set clear boundaries. Don't worry. Also, just say what you mean. Don't beat around the bush. It feels really uncomfortable. Tom smiled. Riley, I can't help it. I finally managed to take her away from you, but she still can't forget you. Tom is both lucky and unlucky. He can be with the person he likes, but she still has someone else in her heart. On the day of moving into the new house, both Anna and Mary came. I took the gift from Anna's hands, but did not accept the one from Mary. With a downcast expression, Mary tossed her gift into the trash can and looked at me with slightly red eyes, pleading, George, can I talk to you for a moment? I glanced at her, seeing that she didn't have that crazy look from a past life. I nodded. Anna walked up to me and whispered, You haven't agreed to me yet. Don't provoke others anymore. I took Mary to another courtyard. Her voice trembled, tinged with tears as she said, George, I wouldn't have known we were moving today if my father hadn't said anything. Do you want me to come home one day and find I'm all alone? I sighed softly, originally planned to move and then tell you. George, are you really going to abandon me? Mary asked. I looked at her with mixed feelings. She had lost a lot of weight. We were never really together, so how can there be talk of abandonment? But what if I love you? I've already broken up with him. Slap. I slapped her again. Once. But in the end, we both got hurt, and there's no possibility for us anymore. Mary's shoulders trembled, tears streaming down her face. But George, I know I was wrong. In my past life, I was tormented by fate, which led me to retaliate. In this life, I've awakened and realized that I love you. I raised my hand to stop her from continuing. It's useless to say more. We can't turn back. Today is our last meeting, and I don't want to see you again. After saying this, I turned and left, my nose slightly sour, almost in tears. I wiped the corner of my eye with my sleeve. Not far from the door, Anna was boredly kicking the stones on the ground. "Anna," I called out to her. Anna looked up and saw that it was just me, her face breaking into a bright smile. "Finally, it's my turn." I nodded and stuffed a paper crane into her hand. "Unfold it when you get back." Then I continued with the move. Anna secretly ran to the side and carefully opened the origami crane. Inside was the key to my house. After that, Anna and I were in a passionate romance for 3 days before we went to get our marriage certificate and held a wedding. Soon, we had the fruit of our love, a pair of twins. One day, I had just finished feeding my mischievous son and was about to pick up my daughter when Anna hugged me from behind, saying, "My husband has to hug me first." I smiled and let her wrap her arms around my neck while I started preparing formula for our daughter. At that moment, my phone buzzed with a few text message notifications. Anna picked up my phone and looked at it, saying, "It's a stranger message. George, I miss you. Let's meet. This must be from Mary, right?" I shook my head, not stopping my hand's movements. "Help me delete and block it. She's still not giving up. Let's see how I get my revenge." Anna clenched her pink fist. I looked at her with amusement. "What do you plan to do for revenge?" "I'm going back to the bedroom to see how I deal with her crush," Anna said angrily. Seeing Anna's pouty expression, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I gently pinched her cheek and said, "Stop it. We're doing just fine right now. Don't let these things ruin your mood." Anna huffed and tossed her phone aside, but I could see a hint of reluctance still in her eyes. Days passed by in warmth and busyness, and the children gradually grew up, learning to babble and taking their first wobbly steps, bringing endless joy to our home. The company under my management is thriving and has gradually overcome its previous crisis, getting back on track. Meanwhile, the news of Mary and Tom has slowly faded with the passage of time, as if they have completely disappeared from my life. One day, I unexpectedly ran into Tom at a business cocktail party. I was much more haggard, with exhaustion and confusion evident in my eyes. When he saw me, he was momentarily taken aback, then forced a faint smile as he walked towards me. "George, long time no see." His voice was a bit hoarse. "Well, it has indeed been a while," I replied politely, but I was somewhat puzzled, not knowing what he wanted to talk to me about. "Mary is not doing very well." Tom hesitated for a moment, but still spoke up. I frowned slightly, a ripple of emotion stirring within me, but I quickly regained my composure. "What does this have to do with me? I have no ties to her anymore." Tom shook his head with a bitter smile. "I know you might not want to hear this, but I still want to tell you. Since we broke up, Mary has been like a different person, locking herself in her room all day and showing no interest in anything. Her health is getting worse, and I'm really worried about her." I fell silent for a moment, my heart filled with mixed emotions, but I knew clearly that my relationship with Mary was over and there was no way to go back to the past. "Tom, you're her boyfriend. You should spend more time with her and help her through this difficult time," I said. Tom sighed. "I've tried, but she just won't listen to me at all. I think maybe only you can help her get back on her feet." I shook my head firmly. "No, I can't get involved in your lives anymore. I have my own family now, with Anna and the kids, and I have to be responsible for them." Tom looked at me, his eyes revealing a hint of helplessness and disappointment, but he didn't continue to persuade me. After exchanging a few pleasantries, we each went our separate ways. After returning home, I watched Anna and the children laughing and playing in the living room, and the gloom in my heart vanished. I know very well that this life is what I should cherish the most. Let the past be the past. However, fate seems to always enjoy playing tricks on people. A few days later, I received an anonymous letter that left me astonished. The letter stated that Mary was very ill, had been admitted to the hospital, and that her condition was not optimistic. She might not have much time left. I held the letter with a trembling hand, my heart caught in a struggle. On one hand, I didn't want to have any further contact with Mary, fearing it would affect my current family. On the other hand, we had once shared such a deep entanglement, and I couldn't bear to see her struggling alone in pain. It seemed to notice something was wrong with me. She walked over to my side, looked at the letter in my hand, and asked, "What's wrong, George? What happened?" I hesitated for a moment, but I still told her the content of the letter. After Anna listened, she was silent for a while, then said, "If you want to go see her, I won't stop you. I trust you. You're only acting out of sympathy and past feelings." I looked at Anna with emotion, holding her hand tightly. "Thank you, Anna. You really understand me. But I don't want to worry you. I will take care of this matter as soon as possible." The next day, I arrived at the hospital. At the door of the ward, I saw Mary lying on the hospital bed. Her face was pale, and her body was so thin it was just skin and bones. Her eyes stared blankly at the ceiling, as if she had already lost hope for life. I gently knocked on the door and walked into the hospital room. Mary heard the sound, turned her head to look at me, a flicker of surprise passing through her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by sadness. "George, you're here." Her voice was so faint it was almost inaudible. "Well, let me see you. How are you doing?" I walked to the bedside and asked her. Mary smiled bitterly. "I'm dying, and this is the retribution I deserve. I have done so many wrong things, hurting you and Father, and now heaven is punishing me." As she spoke, tears streamed down her face. I felt a wave of sadness in my heart. Although I had once hated her, seeing her like this now made my resentment gradually fade away. "Don't say that. The past is the past. You need to take good care of yourself and strive for a speedy recovery." I comforted her. Mary shook her head. "It's no use. The doctor said my illness can't be cured." "George, I have a request. Can you promise me?" "Go ahead and say it." "If I can do it." I hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I want to see you and the children often in the last days. I know I am not worthy, but this is my final wish." Mary looked at me with pleading eyes, and I found myself in a dilemma, unsure of how to respond to her. If I agreed, I didn't know what Anna would think. If I refused, I felt a pang of guilt. At that moment, the ward door suddenly opened, and Anna walked in. She approached the bedside, looked at Mary, and said, "I promise you, George will come to see you often, so just focus on getting better." I looked at Anna in surprise, my heart filled with gratitude. Mary also looked at Anna, her eyes showing a look of appreciation. "Thank you, Anna. You're truly a good person." Since then, I would occasionally take the children to the hospital to visit Mary. During this process, the children gradually became familiar with Mary. They would tell her interesting stories from school and draw pictures for her, bringing a smile to Mary's face. Mary's condition did not improve because of our visits. Instead, it became increasingly severe. Finally, on a cold winter day, Mary left this world. At Mary's funeral, I looked at her tombstone filled with mixed emotions. The love and hatred of the past turned into fleeting memories. At this moment, I knew that from now on, I must cherish the life before me even more, raising our children well with Anna and protecting our home. After returning home, Anna hugged me tightly and said, "It's all over. We need to live well from now on." I nodded and gently kissed her forehead. "Yes, we will." From then on, our lives returned to tranquility, filled with happiness and warmth. Anna and I walked hand in hand through each sunrise and sunset, watching the children grow strong, and our love deepened even more with the passage of time.